I'm with Dan Lowe, and I've twisted his arm extra hard, man, so they give us a new story for a treasure site in the Uinta Mountains, a new treasure story. With that, Dan, take it away.
And not a lot of people know about Antonio de Espejo, but if you've done any serious research in all the old exploration documents that are actually available online now, Antonio de Espejo is best known for his expedition. Well, technically it wasn't his expedition, but being he paid for it, I guess it's his now. This was in, 1582 to 1583.
First among the prospectors in Arizona is said to have been Antonio Espejo, who discovered gold in 1583 near the present city of Prescott.
As far as the record goes, the actual record, it starts off with him writing letters to the king, and he's trying to get permission to get a land grant, a hacienda, a colony. He wants to go on an expedition. Unfortunately, it's hampered by events that were going on at the time. Him and his brother were charged with murder. His brother went to prison, and he escaped, and according to these documents, and went to the furthest north outpost there was at the time, which I think was Chihuahua. While he was there, I'm pretty sure he was still writing letters to the king and trying to get license to go on an expedition. And there's a pretty good opportunity that came up, and I can't remember the name of the expedition previous to them, but they had left 2 priests up north in New Spain, which should be up in the northern regions of New Mexico today. And 2 of these priests were left behind, and they got word that they might have been killed. And so the priests wanted to go find them and see if the rumor was true. And Espejo saw an opportunity and volunteered to pay for the expedition. Now, the academics, they have Antonio de Espejo as coming here as a soldier of fortune, poor, of course, and in the end, they say that he went to Havana and he died over there in 1585. And to this day, I haven't found anything that backs that up in the slightest. I'm pretty sure that Antonio de Espejo came here with his brother and was quite wealthy. And I believe he was carrying documents handed down from his ancestors. And that's what he was looking for. The whole time you read through the exploration document, it's quite clear that he knows what he's looking for. His mind's not on these 2 priests at all. In fact, every chance he gets, it seems that he disappears. And at one point, I think it says he takes 9 men with him, and he heads north in search of the Lake of Gold. Well, where do you hear about that? It's an interesting read, and I'd recommend anybody who's really seriously into this kind of thing to search it out. Well, I didn't know about any of this. I actually had the exploration documents years before the incident that I'm going to tell you about. I just didn't know it because, you got 180 different exploration documents, then it takes a while to get through them. So I have a friend who, I'm trying to remember exactly how that happened, an Apache Indian that he had befriended, shared with him 4 different maps, copies of those maps, because the original maps were at the time in such poor condition that she's just copying them. You're running the risk of them just crumbling. Anyway, one of those maps, we couldn't make out the signature on it, and Apparently he had those maps for, I don't know, 12, 15 years, and I don't know whether he had made up his mind where he thinks the maps went to or not. I would guess that he was satisfied, otherwise he probably wouldn't have shared a copy with me. I probably sat on that map for 10 years, at least. And one day I just happened to be going through my files, and I decided that I'd take that map and send it to a friend of mine whom I knew was very familiar with the area that I suspected. And I showed him what I believed it was, and he got in touch with me and told me, he says, well, you're close, but you're off. And I said, okay, show me what you got. And so he sent me back his results, and I went through and started double checking every little detail, every turn in the river, every spring that was noted, every little detail I could. And by the time I got done, I was 100% convinced that he had this map in the right location. Well, I still didn't know who signed it. Someone signed it, and it had the date 1584 through 88. I sent it, I took a snapshot of the signature, and I sent it to a friend of mine in California from Mexico. What do you see? He sent me back an email, and he says, oh, that's easy. That's Antonio de Espejo. Wow, that was easy. And so I started looking up Antonio de Espejo, and that's when I realized I had his exploration documents, and found out that, you know, he was believed to come here as a poor soldier of fortune, and somehow he became very wealthy when he got here. And after that particular expedition, that why would he choose to pay for it and then disappear and go over to Havana and die? And here we have this map that he signed in at least as late as 1588. So he most certainly didn't die in Havana in 1585. One of the things that I forgot to mention, if you hadn't already put it together, is how did this Apache Indian end up with this map? I forgot to mention that according to the Apache, that these maps that I mentioned earlier came from his grandfathers, that they had got from the Spaniards that they had killed passing through the Four Corners area. It's pretty apparent that Antonio de Espejo never made it back, and that's why his history seemed to end abruptly like that. And someone in Wiki, I guess, I don't know whether they're guessing or what, but they have him dying in Havana in 1585. Well, I noticed as I was reading through the exploration documents, and you'll find this in Coronado's expeditions, some of the earliest expeditions, they're always making reference to things that they happened across, such as, you know, you'll find a notation that says, oh, and we came into this valley and we found some Castilian flax. And over here we found some Castilian grapes, and we found some Castilian walnuts, and it's Castilian this and Castilian that. Now, I understand that, you know, these Spanish people came from the Castilians, but as far as Castilian goes, they pretty much phased out in the 1300s, okay? There's people over there today that still refer to themselves as Castilians. I get that. But these are some of the earliest expeditions. I mean, we're talking Coronado, Antonio de Espejo, you know. This is just a few years after the Europeans supposedly first landed on this continent. So how long does it take to grow a Castilian walnut tree?
Long time.
You know, how long does it take to establish Castilian flax and Castilian this and Castilian... These people were obviously looking for something and following a very old trail. Well, I noticed on this map the word Castilian, and it shows the symbolism for 2 vaults. To this day, I'm not sure during that 4 years, 1584 to 1588, I don't know how many people he had with him on that expedition. We do know how many he had with him in 82 and 83. But can you establish 2 vaults, 13 mine sites, 3 military armor cache sites in 4 years? And what's with the military army? What?
Yeah.
The armor. What's with those cache sites? There's 3 of them. And I'm wondering, I don't know that there's any way to prove it as of yet, but I think the information that's on this particular map is what he was looking for, that was left by his ancestors and handed down to him. Or he got hold of some document over in Seville, Cordoba, wherever he supposedly from Cordoba, and that's what he came here for, and that's what he was looking for. Up in the right-hand side of the map, there's an old Spanish word that was very hard to make out. Encamindo, I think it is, but it basically means land grant. And as far as I can tell, he never got permission for a land grant from the king. So, you know, was that on the map because that's what he was trying to get, or was it on the map because that's where it came from? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know. And the last time I can think that any European expedition or colony came here would have been back in 1050 AD. Most people don't know about that. Anyway, is this evidence of one of the earliest expeditions into the Uinta Mountains? Probably, especially if we could find Antonio de Espejo's actual signature. I'd love to compare it to what's on that map. But the location of these vaults is probably my primary target, and I don't know for certain that we have the right location, and if what we're thinking is true, you know, you're talking, this is almost 500 years ago. And if they are from the earlier time, then you're talking almost 900 years ago.
That's old.
So basically, it's a project. It's something that we would like to dive into and start trying to prove or disprove. It's a fascinating story, and if it is true, great. If it's not, great.
So, man, I appreciate you sharing with that, and you have a book. I'm going to bring up your book that talks about critical thinking, about realistic thinking. Dig that book up. Dig that book up.
Which book's that?
I don't know, that blue one.
I know you haven't ever read them.
Dig it up.
Oh, you're talking Treasures of Utah. Ow.
Yeah. So, I mean, just your book, you know, goes into how to do critical thinking, how to prove or disprove science, how to...
It just basically tells you to step back and think things through, and, I mean, there's no real science to it. It's just common sense. Certain principles I use in all my research, and, you know, every now and then you'll get some naysayers, and they'll criticize what you're saying or criticize what you're doing, and the only response I've got for them is, you know what, if I'm wrong, don't present me with so-called evidence from, well, it says on Wiki, okay, do the time. Go to Wiki, find the footnote that supposedly validates it, go to the footnote, find the book. By the way, that book will be written in the last 10 years. Go get the book, read it, find out where he got it from, and find his reference, and trace it all the way back to the original source material. In other words, don't tell me I'm wrong. Show me I'm wrong. Because I'm not saying it's factual. It's a hypothesis. When I know I've proven something beyond a shadow of a doubt, I'll tell you it's the truth. I'm just telling you, I'm not in this to write books and make money. There is no damn money in writing books, okay?
Amen, brother.
None. I do this because I don't know what happened. Maybe I got dropped on my head a few times, but I've just got an undying thirst for truth. I want to resolve the mysteries. I love it. It's fun to hypothesize about some of the mysteries of the past, and rather than come across a highly unusual artifact and settle with, well, it probably got here because of this, or it probably did this. And I don't know how many times that word probably is used in Wiki. It's just amazing. I want to know the answer. I'm not going to accept probably. It's like that medallion that was found down in Richfield. I'm sorry. I get why people think it's a hoax, and I've never understood the anti-Mormon crap that pops up every time somebody finds something in Utah. To me, those are some of the most brain-dead people I've ever seen. Just because these people happen to be Mormon, oh, come on, give me a break. We could go into all the possible motives of Catholicism if we wanted to. I mean, come on. You'll find a strange artifact, and you can't figure out where it come from. You don't understand why it's where it is. Find a plausible answer. Find something that makes sense. And if you can't, shelf it and wait till something comes along that gives it a little bit of support.
I like your way of thinking.
I just want truth.
You and me, brother. That said, that's a wrap.